I got out the Jeep and shut the door and sucked in the beauty of what was around me. I was at the car park to a wonderful little walk to Quinnanut Falls. Below me, the surf was rolling in, the smell of salt washing up over the little embankment to the car park. All around us is Western Australian saltbush on undulating hills next to the sea. As we leave the car park, my daughter slings me the backpack. "Here you go, big guy." I snap to attention. "Yes, ma'am." Something I always like to do to empower her is give her a little bit of power over me. She goes, "What was it like in the army? Was it like walks like this?" I said, "Not really." As we walk towards the start of the track, next to the small little track, there is a post pegged into the ground. On it, a few simple instructions. No camping, no dogs, observe, conserve. That's the Australian way of saying tread lightly. And as we got walking, just a few steps in, I bend down and pick up a piece of litter, a candy wrapper. I put it in my pocket. My daughter says to me, "It's not your rubbish." And I go, "I know, but look around you. All of this, that's ours, and that's what I'm looking after. It matters not that it's my rubbish." And then she said, "Who taught you that?" Well, throughout my life, people have been telling me to go pick up rubbish, especially in primary school when I was doing naughty things in the classroom. But I don't think that was the reason why. Then I thought back to my army days. My commanding officer, I saw him one day pick up rubbish. And then he goes, "The standard you walk past is the standard you accept." And that one really clung with me. He was one of the most senior guys in my brigade, still doing the most menial tasks, because this was the standard he was setting for everyone around him. So we walk a little bit further down the track, and I started thinking about what else the army taught me about treading lightly, to observe, conserve. And then I thought back to one of my first exercises here in WA. We were going up to the Naval Bombardment Range just outside of Lancelin. There was only 3 naval bombardment ranges in Australia and only 1 on the west coast. It gets used at approximately 25 times a year for various exercises. But this was a big one. Everyone was going. Infantry, artillery, cavalry, as well as all the support services. We went to the briefing room a couple of weeks before the exercise started. In front of us, everyone else was seated, a wall of green. The seats were taken, the aisles were taken, there were soldiers sat cross-legged on the floor. And the first officer was from the environmental side of things. The first picture he displays on the screen was an APC just off the track in an impromptu firing position. The 12-ton mass of this machine had crushed the salt bushes underneath, leaving behind 2 lines. The next photo he shows was the same place, taken years later. The APC gone, but those 2 little tracks remained. He said to us, "We don't do this anymore. We don't need to go around putting in impromptu things to tear up this landscape. If we keep doing this, exercise after exercise, there won't be anything left for us to train on that represents natural bush." Now you might think that it's a little bit strange that the army cares so much about its environment. After all, we go there, we throw bombs, we shoot down stuff and cause a lot of destruction. But these little bits of land needed to be protected. But that's so true of this walk we go on. It's a beautiful environment with one small little scar for people to walk along. For something that we can go out and observe what we have. Now the Quinnanut Falls is protected as a national park. So it's not going anywhere anytime soon. But that's only because somebody went there and said, this is something important. We continue along the walk. And just as we go ahead, just before you get to the falls, there is a clearing that the Aboriginal people use for ceremonies, such as coming of age and welcoming of the seasons. And you can tell this place is well used. The land is flat, there is no shrubs on it, and it's built for purpose. There is a small sign there that describes all the activities that happen there. This is a place that's loved. This is a place that is cherished by them. And this is a place that will stay just like this forever, as long as they keep going. As long as they keep treading on the land, it will stay the same. Just like the army needs a few little spots along our coast to train, we need to keep those bits. There's only 80,000 people in the Australian Defence Force. That's enough to fit into the MCG. Or the way we were seated in that room, in that lecture theatre, we probably could fit into the Optus Stadium as well. But these are champions of the land, just as the local people are the champions of the land at that point. And we need these people. We need them to keep training. We need this little bit of destruction to hold everything that we have made near and dear. So we keep walking along the track. My daughter runs off around a corner and she comes running back. She's found a bottle cap. She brings me this bottle cap and says, "Look, Dad, I'm doing what you did." And I thought, that is fantastic. My message is getting through. So I pop it into my jacket pocket with my other piece of rubbish, disposed of thoughtfully for the time being. Just like at our army training, after we finished our exercises, we walked back through the land, we picked up our brass. It may seem like a very small thing to do in such a vast area that is a naval bombardment range, but it's all these little things that we continually do that preserves what we have, because we know what we have is important. During that exercise, after we had picked up all of the brass, it all gets loaded back for thoughtful disposal. Just like my rubbish will be thoughtfully disposed of by my wife when we get back home. You see, it takes a lot of people to look after what we have. We get down to the falls and it isn't a magical place. In the world scheme of things, it's not the Niagara Falls. Don't get your hopes up too much. But it's what we have. And it's what's special to the people who live there. So we've got to keep protecting these little places. In front of the falls, there was an arum lily. I pull out the arum lily. Just one little arum lily. If you know anything about arum lilies in the southwest, they are a pest. A noxious weed that kills cattle and outgrows all native plants. My daughter says to me, "That's not really going to do much." And I say, that's right. That one little act isn't going to do much. But there was only one arum lily there. It hadn't started spreading its seeds around just yet. Thankfully, it was the start of spring. On the way out from the falls, we saw a farmer on the far hillside. And it appeared to me that he was praying for arum lilies as well. I couldn't see what else he would be doing at that time. And I thought, I'm doing my little bit that I wasn't prepared to do, but still I'm here. I'm still setting that standard. I'm not really capable of doing the same job he is, but here I am telling you about it. So as you go out in your lives, find these little spots of joy, of native excellence. Most of the land that we have now has been thrown away to agriculture and mining, which is something that we need. But we have to go and tread lightly. Because I'll tell you what happens if we don't tread lightly. The Juukan Gorge, Rio Tinto blew up caves that were that had been inhabited for 46,000 years. The cost of this, the CEO, the chairman lost his job. There was a shareholder revolt, and all for a $135 million project. The destruction of this gorge of this cave system only netted them about $300,000 worth of profit because nobody walked. Not the miners, not the shot firers, not the local people. So go, tread lightly, find out what's important. Thank you.